Okay, now we're in Mission Creek, and to see if we can see a little more things in here. And we just found a caddisfly and a toe biter. Here's a caddisfly, and the caddisfly makes a little home out of sticks or rocks or sand or gravel, and uses that as protection as it goes around and grazes on algae and leaves. And here is a toe biter. It's a little toe biter. So a toe biter is actually, this is an adult insect that lives its entire life in the creek. And it's called a toe biter because it can grab onto you if you step on it, and they actually have venom, kind of like a spider. So when they grab something and eat it, they inject their venom and dissolves the inside, so then they can just suck out the juices of their prey. This is a little one. Hopefully we'll see bigger ones, because right now we should be able to find some with eggs on their backs, or even babies on their backs. The female lays her eggs on the back of a male. Wait, what's your question?
Like, you know how they put themselves like kind of in them?
Yeah.
They use how do they like go in the rock?
Well, they don't go. They stick the rocks to themselves.
Oh.
Using some sticky stuff, or the leaves to themselves.
Like they would go through it and like weave through them.
They stick them piece by piece all around their bodies, and they have their heads sticking out.
Cool.
And then they've got this sort of protection / camouflage.
I feel like they move like surprisingly fast. Like I feel like they move more like slower.
I think they sensed me, so they stopped moving. Here's a bunch of damselfly larvae sitting on the rock. We'll go and check them out. You can see their heads and their faces look just like the adult damselfly, but their bodies, well, they're wingless right now. The bodies are similar too, actually. And here's an adult damselfly. Maybe here to lay eggs. See how the head is just like the larva? Even the body is, except they have wings now. Oh, it's shaky. Hopefully I got a good view of it. Here's another mayfly, and above it is an ancellid, which is sort of a freshwater limpet. It goes around scraping algae off the rocks, like a lot of these other animals in here. Here's an adult frog. They've seen a lot of tadpoles. Tree frog. What'd you find, Noah? Oh, sweet find, Noah.
Whoa.
This one has the eggs on its back.
And there's a baby toad on it. Yeah,
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Wow.
This is what we've been looking for.
That's so cringy.
This is the big door prize. So that's a big size toe biter. I'm gonna put my finger up to it, and you can see the eggs on its back. And there's a hatched toe biter there that have hatched on its back. And I'm gonna put my finger next to it.
Why?
For scale.
Yeah. It's a big thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna go underwater.
Ooh. Dude, nice find.
So I call him a him. I call a lot of things hymns, but this is a male. Whoa, there he goes.
Ooh,
Whoa.
wow.
Okay. See, they move really fast. He is cooking. Okay. He went on a run there. He settled back down. So I was saying that they have venom to kill their prey and then just suck the juices out like a spider does. But they also can bite people, and I've heard it's really painful. I've always been curious how painful it is. An old friend of mine told me that it would make you cry. I'm gonna go underwater. You think? How's that? Oh, look at those eyes. He's a beaut. A lot of unhatched eggs. Looks like a wise old man. Toe biters actually need air to breathe. So on the back of their abdomen they have a siphon where they can draw in water or draw in air and store it underneath their wings that they use as sort of like a scuba tank to breathe while they're underwater, and occasionally they go back up to replenish that. Stoked. Noah, good job. This is what I really wanted to find.
Oh, there's another
My
one.
life is
Look,
complete.
There's another one.
Oh, a baby.
Where?
Right above him, right here on the rock. The slow-moving water in the leaves, huh? Whenever I'm walking through.
Found them in this.
Oh, yeah?
It's like unwalkable.
Oh, okay. Whenever I'm walking through leaves in a creek or a pond, I think of toe biters.
I found one in my crop. So why they call them the toad biter is because like when you're walking in the creek they could like bite you and
Yeah. Another name for them is giant water bug,
that sucks.
which is fitting.
Hi, I'm
Descriptive because they're actually in the true bug order. That's like an order of insects that are called the true bugs.
Why?
Hemiptera, I think. It's just how they classify things, like, you know, certain fishes are related to each other. What's that? Oh yeah? These are more mayflies. mayfly larvae, and they just forage around. They eat a lot of dead leaves that are in the creek and a lot of algae that's on the rocks, and they actually provide a lot of food for fish. All these insects do. Food for all kinds of things. Here's another damselfly. Check out this caddisfly over here. He's built a tube house. So that was a caddisfly. That's another type of caddisfly. There's a lot of different kinds, and that one builds a home or a little shell out of maybe a little more like mud or sand into a tube. And you know, I read that caddisflies are called caddisflies. They're named after, like in old England, vendors were called caddismen or caddis sellers, and they would, or cloth vendors, and they would pin all of their the things that they were selling to their coats, and that's how they would advertise what they were selling. And so caddisflies are named after them because they kind of pin all these things to their bodies. Mayfly larvae have their gills along the length of their tails, so these might be waving their tails back and forth in order to increase oxygen diffusion into their gills, sort of breathing heavily. It also might be an adaptation as a distraction for predators. Predators will go after their tail instead of their head, and then they have a chance to get away. These ones don't really seem like they're grazing. They almost seem like they're maybe waiting for things floating downstream, capturing algae or something like that. But they might just be eating algae off the rocks. These rocks definitely don't have a lot of algae on them. Maybe they've just been scraped really well by all these insects. Yeah, I think they might be scraping algae. You want to go upstream some more?
Sure. What are these roots in the creek?
These are roots from all the trees around us. So around us I see alder trees right here, a sycamore tree, a willow tree, oak trees, another sycamore. So all of these trees, they have their roots in the soil below the creek, and they have water year round.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they're adapted to having their roots wet all year round.
They probably grow a lot faster.
Yeah, and then another benefit, you know, they get water from the creek, but they also help anchor all these rocks in the creek,
Yeah.
and anchor the soil and provide a lot more space and habitat for animals that live in here, right?
I haven't found anything yet.
These things that look like worms or something, these are actually alder catkins from the alder tree, like the flowers. We just came across a duck with ducklings in this pool. So sweet. A mallard duck. Mallard ducks are actually one of the fastest flying birds. They can fly up to 80 miles per hour. The peregrine falcon is known as the fastest flying bird, but it really does it during a dive. But the mallard duck is one of the fastest level flyers. They lay their eggs on the bank of creeks and sometimes up in the woods on the ground. And the babies, the ducklings, can swim right after they're born. And so they can get right in the water and float, and they can swim around just like we're doing right here. How many are there? 2, 4, 6, 7?
No, 7. Oh, yeah.
I think I see 7. Maybe 8, guys. I think there's 8.
No, 7.
Alright.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, yeah, there is 8. Oh, it's so hard to count. It was all exactly the same.
A little poke from Mama.
Mom.
There's a water boatman.
What? I got some good footage.
Another creek bug
Where?
that lives in the creek
Oh,
its whole life.
Water boatman. Oh, there's guys.
Algae. So we just saw a dragonfly larva dart over here. This is a bigger one. This is the larval form of a dragonfly, and this is a pretty big one. It might be close to becoming an adult. Dragonflies are a really long-lived insect. They actually live up to 7 years, and most of that time is spent in this larval form in the water. If you ever see dragonflies flying around and sort of skimming over the water and dipping their tails in, that's when they're laying eggs into the water. And if you see one do that and go up to it closely and look in the water, you might see one little egg just slowly dropping down to the bottom. And when it hatches, one of these comes out really small, and through a series of molts, they get bigger and bigger until they become, until they're ready to emerge and be an adult. And what they'll do is they'll use their legs, they'll crawl out of the water onto a rock or up a piece of vegetation in the water, and they emerge and they do that final molt and become an adult. Yeah, dragonflies are pretty incredible. They're actually the fastest flying insect. They can fly up to 35 miles an hour. So that's like half the speed of a mallard duck. They can move around on the bottom with their legs, kind of move around slowly or run or walk on the rocks. But for a quick getaway, they can actually take in water into their abdomen and use it as a water jet, squirt it out really fast, and they just dart off. There it goes. Quick getaway. This dragonfly larva has just molted. Their exoskeleton can't grow like all other arthropods. It's a hard external skeleton, and it can't really expand when they grow. So they need to molt that exoskeleton occasionally in order for them to grow quickly. So this one's probably really soft right now, and it's swelling up, and then its new exoskeleton will harden. Sometimes they'll actually eat their molt to get some of those, like the keratins or maybe even calcium from that, to help them harden the new exoskeleton up, get those nutrients. Here's another caddisfly walking around, and a tadpole. This looks like it might be a stonefly, but it might be another kind of mayfly. These are fly larvae, Diptera, the order Diptera. They just hang onto the rocks, the fast-moving creek, and they just catch algae and things like that going down. But these are probably black flies. Those flies that are cruising around in summertime. If I knock one off, they'll just attach to another rock downstream. They're really good at attaching. A lot of them use like a little bit of silk to hold on really well. Caddisflies do that too. They have kind of like a sticky silk. And you'll see them kind of floating on a thread of silk as they find their way down, find somewhere to land downstream. This is just a glimpse of some of the organisms living in this ecosystem. Thanks for watching. Take care.